Welcome back to the video for this session. It's called Formatting Cells and Numbers. The worksheet I'll be working with in this lesson will be the sheet called Formatting from our sample Excel file. For this video, I'm using the workbook called Sample Files, which you can download. I'm on a worksheet called Formatting. In the spreadsheet, what I want to be able to do is to change the look of parts of the spreadsheet. For example, I want to make the title look a little bit larger. I want to make the headings on the spreadsheet look different. I want to format some of the numbers in these columns here. I want to format this column here into a percent format. So this is all about changing the look of parts of your screen by formatting cells and changing the format of numbers. The first thing I'm going to be doing is to make a change to the headings in rows 3 and 4. So this area right in here I want to make a change to. The first step for making a change to any part of any application is selecting the parts you want to make a change to. So I'll be first of all selecting cells by using a selecting tool. I'll put my mouse in the middle of cell A3, get the white cross, which is the selecting tool. I'll hold my mouse button down and drag down a little bit and over to the right in order to select the headings at the top of the spreadsheet that I want to make a change to. I want to bold these headings, so I'll click on bold. I'll move across on the ribbon and I'll look for this borders button. I'll click on the drop down arrow and I can choose bottom border, top border, left border, and so on. If I go further down, I have different choices. In my case, I'm going to choose a thick bottom border, so I'll click on that. Now, it's really hard to see that it actually happened. You have to sort of trust yourself that it has happened. You can confirm that by looking back up on the ribbon to see there is a thick bottom border has been applied there. To the right of that thick bottom border button is a fill color choice. I click on the drop-down arrow, and I'll see some different choices. I can use Live Preview here to move around to see if there's a particular color choice that I like. And I'll choose this one here by clicking. Now have some background shade applied onto it. If I wanted to change the color of the font, which I'm not going to actually do in this example, I would click on the drop down arrow here. And again, I can use Live Preview to make changes to the font color. I'm not going to make a change, so go back to the drop down arrow to hide that panel. And then to the right of that, there's the alignment part of the ribbon, and I'll look for center aligned and click on that. And I've now made a change to the headings in the spreadsheet, and I'll click away from there, and I can now see the changes that I've made to it. So that's one example of changing cells in your spreadsheet. Now I want to do another change to the title where it says activity comparison. So I'll click here. I'm going to make the font a little bit larger. So I'll go to the increase font size button and click on that twice. And what I want to do now is I want to format this so it'll be centered across all of columns A through to column E by merging the cells together. So to do this, I'll put my mouse on A1. I'll get a white cross for selecting and drag across over to column E. So I first of all select the range of cells that I want to center it across. And now I'm going to go to Merge and Center up on the ribbon and click. And that's now going to be merged and centered across columns A through column E. The next change I want to make is I want to change the look of the numbers in column B, C, and D. So to do this, I'm going to select the cells with the numbers in it. Then I'll go back up to the ribbon, and there's a quick formatting part of the ribbon where it says the word number. If these were dollar amounts, which they're not, I could change it into a currency format. You'll see in a second we're going to use the percent symbol. I want to put this in what's called a comma style format. A comma style format puts a comma in to break the thousands up. Makes it a little bit easier for your audience to read the numbers. So I'll click on the comma style format. And when I do that, it puts a comma in to break up the thousands, and it puts on 2 decimal places, which in some cases might be a good thing. In this case, though, I don't want to have the decimals on here, so back up to the ribbon again in the numbers part of the ribbon. The next button to the right of the comma style button has an increased decimal button. I could choose that, but in this case it wouldn't make sense. The next button to the right is a decreased decimal button. I'll click on that once, twice to remove the decimals from those numbers. And then finally, as far as changing number formats, I want to change the look of the numbers in column E. These are all decimal numbers. I want them to be in a percent format. So again, I'm going to select all these cells that I want to change. Back to the ribbon again, I'll click on the percent style button. And when I choose that, what happens is it converts it to a percent format for me, but it drops off all the decimals. So I want to put a couple decimals back on by moving to the right of percent. I'll go past comma, and the next one says increase decimal. I'll click on that once, twice, to add decimal places onto those parts of the spreadsheet. And when I click away from there, I can now see I've made formatting changes to my headings. I formatted the numbers in columns B through to column D in a comma style format, and I formatted the numbers in column E into a percent style format. We saw earlier that we can put a border onto part of our spreadsheet by selecting the cells we want to put a border on and using this button here in order to do it. Sometimes though you want to have a different look to your borders, maybe a color choice and so on for it. So what I want to demonstrate now is how you put custom borders onto your spreadsheet. So first of all, I'm going to select the cells down here where my total line is. I'm going to go back to the arrow next to the borders button, and I'm going to choose the choice that's called top and double bottom border, which means a top border, a single line at the top of the cell, and a double underline at the bottom of the cell. I'll click on that, and you can now see what they're going to look like. Now that's not exactly what I want, but I want you to see that that's available. I'm now going to go back and select these cells again. I want to put a different look to it on, so I want to do a custom border this time. So back to the drop down arrow, and I'll move down to more borders at the bottom of the list and click. It takes me into a window, and it shows me that I've got a single line at the top and a double line underneath it. What I want to be able to do here is to change these into a different color perhaps. So I want to have, first of all, I want to take off my top border by clicking on this icon here. I want to put on a thicker border with the color red. I'll now go back and I'll apply this to it by clicking on this button to put on the border at the top. I now want to take off the bottom border by clicking on the icon to the left here. And I'll go and choose a double underline in the style box. And just for interest's sake, I'll change this to the color purple. And now I'll go back and put the border back on again. And now I have a double underline underneath here in purple. So you take off the border, you change your style, you change your color, and you apply the border back on again. When I'm finished with the whole process, I'll click OK. And when I'm done, I'll click away from there, and I now have an unusual look, I realize, but I now have a red thick border at the top and a double purple border at the bottom. That's how you go about putting on custom borders if you choose to do so, and usually you do this when you want to put some colors onto your borders. And the last change I'll make to the spreadsheet is I want to change the look of all the numbers in column E to a custom format. Now what I mean by a custom format is when I have a negative number in this column, I want to have the color red for the font. I want brackets around it rather than a minus sign around it. So this is not a built-in format. This is what I'm going to design myself. So I first of all select the cells that I want to format. And back to the ribbon again, I click on the drop-down arrow where it says percentage. I go to more number formats. It takes me to a window. I first of all choose a format that's close to what I'm looking for. In this case, this is sort of close to what I want. But now I want to design a custom format. So I'll click on Custom on the left-hand side of the window. And in here, you'll notice I'm active on the one that has the percentages on it. And I can see up here that, okay, they're using red as a color when there's a negative number to it. But what I want to be able to do is to make my percentage into a custom format. So up here is the current formatting of it. I'll click after that. I'll put in a semicolon. You can see just like they did down here. I'll put a left square bracket in, type the word red, and a closing square bracket, the same as they did down here. And then I want to put a left round bracket in. And then I want to have 0.00 percentage and a closing bracket. So what this is telling the system is, for positive numbers, have it look like this. For negative numbers, make it in red with a bracket around it and have this format with it. So I made a custom format for myself, and when I click OK, it'll then take me back to my spreadsheet, and I can see all my negative numbers now are going to have brackets around it, and they're going to be in the font color red. I don't do this often, but there are going to be sometimes you want to change to a custom format. You can do that using Microsoft Excel. You start with an existing format, and you then modify that by clicking Custom inside that other window.